Daf Yomi, Tractate Bava Metzia, page 30. Top of the page, the words B'torei d'nefish pesidaihu. That this applies to laborers who work with oxen whose potential for causing damage is great if they are not supervised, as they will trample the crops. The Mishnah teaches that one who found a lost garment spreads it for its sake to ventilate it, but may not use it as a decoration for his own prestige. A dilemma was raised before the sages if one spreads it both for his sake and for its sake. What is the halacha? The Gemara suggests, come and hear proof from the Mishnah. He spreads it for its sake. The Gemara infers for its sake, yes. He spreads it, but for his sake and for its sake he may not do so. The Gemara rejects the proof. Say the latter clause of the Mishnah, but not for his own prestige. The Gemara infers it is for his prestige alone that he may not spread it, but for its sake and for his sake one may well do so. Rather, no inference is to be learned from this Mishnah, as there are conflicting inferences from the first clause and the latter clause. Tashima. The Gemara suggests, come and hear a proof from a Braita. If one finds a lost garment, he may not spread it on a bed or on a hanger for his sake, but he may spread it on a bed or on a hanger for its sake. If guests happen to visit, he may not spread it, neither on a bed nor on a hanger, and neither for his sake nor for its sake. Apparently, it is prohibited to spread it for both his sake, to enhance his prestige before his guests, and for its sake. The Gemara rejects this proof. It is different here, as spreading it before his guests is tantamount to burning it, either due to the evil eye that will result or due to thieves. As once the guests are aware of the valuable item in his possession, they may be tempted to steal it. Tashima, Gemara suggests, come and hear a proof from a Braita. If one introduced a calf into a yoke so that it would suckle and it threshed with the cows, it is fit for use in the ritual of the heifer whose neck is broken, because the owner did not intend for it to perform labor. But if the owner introduces it so that it will suckle and it will thresh, it is unfit for use in that ritual, because his intent is for the calf to perform labor, and the intentional performance of labor disqualifies it. And here, isn't the placement of the calf in the yoke for both his sake, threshing, and for its sake, suckling? And the Braita teaches that the calf is unfit. Apparently, it is prohibited for one who found a lost garment to spread it for both his sake and for its sake. The Gemara rejects this proof by citing the verse written with regard to the heifer whose neck is broken. It is different there, as the verse states, the elders of that city shall take a heifer of the herd that has not been worked with and that has not pulled a yoke, Deuteronomy 21:3, indicating that the heifer is rendered unfit in any case of labor performed. Therefore, no conclusion can be drawn with regard to spreading the garment. The Gemara asks, if it is so that the calf is rendered unfit by any labor that it performed, then it should be unfit even in the first clause, where the owner did not intend for the calf to perform labor. The Gemara answers, this is comparable only to this other case, as we learned in a Mishnah in Para 2:4. If a bird rested upon a red heifer, it remains fit for the use in the purificational ritual. as supporting the burden on its back is considered neither labor nor comparable to pulling a yoke. If a male animal mounted it for mating, it is unfit for use in the purification ritual. The Gemara asks, what is the reason for the difference between the two cases? Kedref Papa. The difference is in accordance with the statement of Rav Papa, as Rav Papa says, with regard to the verse written concerning the heifer whose neck is broken, and the elders of that city shall take a heifer of the herd that has not been worked with that has not pulled a yoke. Deuteronomy 21:3. If the word were written with an additional letter Vav, which would mean the passive has been worked with, and we also vocalized the word in the passive voice ubad, I would say that even if the heifer performed labor by itself, it is disqualified for use in the ritual. If the word were written without an additional letter Vav, which would mean the active, he used it for labor, and we also vocalized the word in the active voice, avad, I would say that indicates that the heifer was fit for use in the ritual until its owner intentionally used it for labor. Now that the word is written without an additional letter vav as avad, and we vocalize the word with an additional letter vav as uvad, in order to render the heifer unfit, we require the situation prescribed by the word uvad is similar to the situation described by the word avad. Just as the word avad indicates that the owner is amenable to the performance of that labor, so too the word uvad means that the owner is amenable to the performance of that labor. Since the owner is amenable to the heifer mating, the heifer is rendered unfit. So too, in the first clause of the Braita, if one introduced a calf into a yoke so that it may suckle, and it threshed with the cows, it is fit for use in the ritual of the heifer whose neck is broken, because the owner is not amenable to its performing labor. Okay. I think we can finish it off. Do you have time? Yeah, we have time. Performing labor. The Mishnah teaches, if one found silver vessels or copper vessels, he may use them for their own sake, and the same halacha applies to other vessels. The sages taught in the Braita that one who finds wooden vessels uses them so that they will not deteriorate due to lack of use. If one found copper vessels, he uses them with hot water, but not directly on the fire, due to the fact that it erodes them. If one found silver vessels, he uses them with cold water, but not with hot water, because it tarnishes them. If one found rakes or axes, he may use them with soft substances, but not with hard substances, because using them with those substances damages them. If one found gold vessels or glass vessels which do not deteriorate due to lack of use, he may not touch them until Elijah will come and identify the owner. The Braita continues, in the manner that the sages said with regard to lost items, so they said with regard to a deposit. The Gemara asks, what is the Bailey doing with a deposit? Meaning that the owner should send to his own item. Why is the Bailey using it at all? The Gemara answers, the Bar Chama said that Rav Sheshet said is referring to a deposit whose owner went to a country overseas. Therefore, it is incumbent upon the Bailey to tend to the deposit until his return. The Mishnah teaches, if a person found a sack or a basket, or any other item that is not his typical manner to take and carry because it is beneath his dignity, he shall not take it. The Gemara asks, from where are those matters derived? It is, as the sages taught in Braita, is stated with regard to return lost item. You shall not see your brother's ox nor his sheep wandering and disregard them. You shall return them to your brother. Deuteronomy 22:1. The Tanakh explains that the phrase "and disregard them" means that there are occasions in which you may disregard lost items, and there are occasions in which you may not disregard them. HaKetzad. This is the case. How so? Under what circumstances may one disregard them? May do so in the case where he was a Kohen, and the lost items in the vineyard, Leviticus 21, 1 through 4, or where he was an elderly person and is not in keeping with his dignity to tend to them, or where the value of his labor was greater than the value of the lost item of the other person, meaning that if the finder was to return the item, reimbursing him for his lost wages would cost more than the value of the item. Therefore, it is stated and disregard them. The Gemara asks, for what case was a verse necessary to derive that one may disregard a lost item? If we say that the verse is necessary for the case of a priest and lost item in the vineyard, it is obvious that he need not return the item, as this obligation to return the lost item is a positive mitzvah. You shall return them to your brother, Deuteronomy 22:1, and that entry of a priest into a graveyard is prohibited by both a prohibition that dead among his people he shall not defile himself, Leviticus 21:1, and a positive mitzvah, you shall be holy, Leviticus 19:2. And there is a principle that a positive mitzvah does not override a prohibition and a positive mitzvah. And furthermore, we do not override a ritual prohibition in the face of monetary matters. The Gemara suggests, rather say, that the verse is necessary to derive the exemption from returning the lost item in the case where the value of his labor was greater than the value of the lost item of the other. The Gemara rejects that possibility. That halacha is derived not from the phrase and disregard them, but from that which Rabbi Yehuda says that Rav says, as Rav Yehuda says that Rav says, it is written only so that